Okay guys, let's get started. First I want to thank you for purchasing this, and as always, if you have any questions, you feel free to contact me about anything. Now, before we move on any further, I just want to give you guys a little bit of introduction into this method. For those of you who use the Reddit method, it's very similar, but there are a couple of differences. And the main one being that unlike Reddit, this one isn't instant. For those of you who did not have the course, with Reddit, it was extremely easy, but as we soon saw, Google and even Reddit themselves started clamping down because a lot of people were doing this. When we used the Reddit method, we were able to rank within minutes in the news box, just with one simple link. But this is going to require a little bit more work, and it's going to be more of a long-term play. This isn't something that you can set up within a matter of minutes or even overnight, at least in most cases. The downside of that is that it does take a little bit longer to set up and get going, but the advantage is that it gives you a much more long-term outlook than Reddit. With Reddit, we were just, ranking and banking, churning and burning. If the topic was deleted or our links were removed, it was no big deal because we could do it again in a couple of minutes. And a lot of the monetization that you saw with Reddit kind of followed that path where people were just, they threw up whatever offers they could to whatever websites they could. But in this case, you're going to want to monetize more carefully. You're going to want to take a more long-term approach. If you want to do churn and burn, that's your choice, but I don't think it's such a good idea to go that route. It's in my opinion, it will be really frustrating to have to repeat this process. But if you do this for brands, your own products, your own Amazon products, or even offline clients, for offline clients, this is amazing. You can imagine how much more easier it is to recruit an offline client when you show them their video commercial in the news box, or how many sales and leads that can bring in. And if you're doing a pay-per lead deal or a brokerage deal, that becomes very lucrative. But no matter what route you take, you want to plan for the long term. You don't want something that's going to die overnight because YouTube bans you. So just keep that in mind. There's still a lot of opportunity to use this. Go look at the earnings of some of the major YouTube quote-unquote celebrities and how much they make off their videos. It's insane. And you can make a lot of money on videos on just about any topic, whether it be, unboxing videos, whether it be comedy videos, prank videos, any type of video category that exists for YouTube. There's somebody that's making tens of thousands of dollars every month off that. And if you have marketing experience, if you run your own business, you will probably already know where you want to deploy this tactic and how you can use it in the long term. So I'm just giving you that little bit of advice to monetize wisely. Don't go for the churn and burn stuff. Don't go for the quick cash. View this as a long-term strategy because that's what it should be. Now, when it comes to Google News versus Google, as you know, our goal here is to get inside the news box with our YouTube videos. And a lot of the same rules still apply. Duplicate content is not good. You want quality content. Link and citations help. The click-through rate on your listing helps. Freshness, trust, and authority. All of these things that apply to Google.com web results apply to the Google News box and the Google News algorithm altogether. So you're going to want to keep this in mind. You can't be uploading duplicate videos and expect them to get them listed in the news box. That's not going to happen. At the same time, you want to have quality content because you don't want a bunch of downvotes or people reporting your video because it's doing or saying something they don't like. Links and citations, again, also important, and so is your CTR. And when you're choosing your videos, you want to make sure that your videos, the title of your videos is related to the content. The great thing about the Google News box is it gives you it lets you cast a very wide net for a whole bunch of different search terms. And if that video is not related to what people are searching for, that video is not going to show up eventually in the news results. So you want to choose your titles carefully, craft them to the content of your video, and make sure it's something that people actually want to click for a video. You know, if somebody's searching for, I don't know, business accounting tips, they might not want to click on a YouTube video. They might be at work, they might be at their office, where, you know, clicking on that video isn't exactly the most productive use of their time for the information they need. On the other side of that, if there's a new story or a new product that comes out and you put, you know, an unboxing video, that's going to draw a lot of attention. Same thing with you know, product reviews and all that. So you'll want to keep that in mind, and we'll go over that a little bit more later on. Freshness, of course. Google Newsbox has a limited lifespan of about 3 or 4 days. Just depends on your luck, depends on the story. You're not going to be listed there forever, but that's why we do the entire process. If you do the entire process, you'll get ranked in the Newsbox, but you'll also get ranked in the web results. And that's going to bring you long-term traffic. Long after you've been bumped out of the Newsbox, you're going to be on the first page for the keywords that you desire. And freshness obviously counts, so I think you guys already know that if you're working with Google News. And trust and authority, again, very important. As you'll see, everything that we're going to do in this method is about building trust and authority to our YouTube channel. You see, if we started a brand new YouTube channel right out of the box, 100% brand new, slapped a video on it, and then it was featured on the homepage of the New York Times, we would go instantly into the Newsbox. Of course, most of us can't get our videos published in the New York Times, much less on the New York Times homepage. But that's the process that we're going to follow. We're going to build tons and tons of trust and authority to our channel. Note, it's not to the videos, it's to the YouTube channel that you need to worry about. For those of you who had the Reddit course, in the Reddit course I showed you how to do it with YouTube also. And in that course, back then, it was much the same process. Post, you know, a link on a news site, and you'd get your YouTube video listed. In this case, for this method, going forward, you want to focus on YouTube channels. Now, for those of you who did not have the Reddit course, here's basically an outline of how the method worked. What we would do is create a topic on Reddit. Any topic, you know, you guys saw that, or we would create a YouTube video. And in order to make it work, you only had to do one thing. All you had to do was find a news website, post a comment with your Reddit or YouTube link, and then ping that link or the news story where it was posted. And within a couple of minutes, you were in the Newsbox. And that was it. And that's all it took. And, you know, if you guys, for those of you who didn't get the course, there were a lot of people asking, how is it done? How are they doing this? How is it possible? And the, you know, general wisdom was, well, you just blast a ton of links to it and eventually you'll get there. And they were somewhat right. I mean, the people who blasted a bunch of links and they managed to get in the Newsbox, it wasn't because they knew the method. It was because they got lucky. Of the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of links that they blasted, one of those links just happened to be on a news article. And since it was on a news article, Google picked it up real quick and they got in the Newsbox by accident, not on purpose. See, they were creating thousands of links. We were just creating 1 or 2 links. And that's the difference. So that's how it used to work. It's a little bit longer of a process now, but for those of you who didn't have that course, that's how it was being done. All we were doing was going to news websites, any news story on any news website that was already in Google News, and then we would just insert our link into the comment, ping Google, and within minutes we were ranking. And that's how it was done in the past. That's not how it's done anymore, but that's how it used to be done. Now, the differences. Really, the only difference is it's NewsRank, not PageRank, and it's NewsFlow, not TrustFlow. If you're working with the organic Google.com web results, you guys know about PageRank. Now, PageRank hasn't officially been updated in a long time, I think almost 3 years now. They don't update that publicly, but they do privately and internally. Internally at Google, PageRank is being updated in real time. Well, maybe not real time, but at least very, very often. NewsRank works much the same way, except NewsRank is focused exclusively for news websites that are approved on Google News. And the way it works is very similar. Now, here I have a graph or an illustration of PageRank. And you guys, if you go to google.com and you go to images and you search for PageRank, this will come up. But you can see that the idea is the same. NewsRank is PageRank. The more authoritative a news website is, the more quote-unquote news rank it passes to the sites it links to. So, going back to our other example, a link from the New York Times is a news rank of 10. It's super high authority, super high quality. It'll rank you for any news story that you want. It'll rank you in the web results. It'll rank you in the news box. It'll do everything for you. And of course, as you go down to smaller websites, maybe like a like a local news station or a local radio station that's not, they're not big, they're not national, but they're still a trusted news source. That leaks a little bit less news rank, but it's still helpful. And that's what you want to think about. I'm going to use the term news rank a lot in this course, but when I say news rank, that means PageRank, except that it's for news websites. So I don't want you to get too confused or put too much thought into it. Just remember that NewsRank is similar to PageRank. The more authoritative the site, the better the link. And it's that simple. Now, why do we use YouTube? Well, obviously it's highly, highly trusted, and it's already used by a lot of different news agencies. CNN, Reuters, Fox News, Washington Post, USA Today, Forbes, Wall Street Journal. I could go on and on and on. They all have YouTube channels that they link to. And when you want to submit video content to Google News, they tell news agencies, hey, try to do it through YouTube, because that's, it's easier for them to control. And of course, being a Google property, that makes a lot of sense. You still can use Reddit. I know people are saying that the Reddit method is dead. It's not dead. The problem is, you can do the same method with Reddit if you wanted to. The problem you'll run into is that there's a manual screening process with Google. They will still show Reddit stories in the news box, but they have to be approved. And right now they're not approving any of them that aren't obviously, basically if it's not on the front page of Reddit or it looks like it doesn't belong on the front page of Reddit, they're not approving it, and it's that simple. So you can do this with Reddit. It's not dead 100%, but it's a lot easier to do with YouTube. And it's a lot more effective too. If you guys who were doing, who had the Reddit course, you know that if you used YouTube videos, you had a higher click-through rate than you did with Reddit stories. Because Reddit stories, that's just another news story. That's just yet another link on the Google search results. A YouTube video, if it's on the right topic and it has a good title, it has a way higher click-through rate because people want video. People would rather watch a video than read a news story. So while you don't get to rank as easily with Reddit anymore, you can do it with YouTube, and it turns out it's a lot better, at least in my opinion. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the way the old method worked was all we had to do was post our Reddit links or YouTube links if you were using it into the comment section of a news website. And that alone, you did that, you were done. it literally took, you know, maybe a couple of minutes, because all we would do was go to news.google.com, pick any random story that was there. We'd go to the news article, we'd post our link, we'd ping the news story, and then within minutes we were in the news box. No building thousands of links, no special software or anything like that. Just that was all we had to do. Of course, now the news rank is more restrictive, the news box is more restrictive, and you don't get there automatically just because you have one link from a news website. So what we do now, what you have to do now, is you have to tie your YouTube channel to trusted news sources. That means news sources that are on YouTube, like the news channels that I mentioned, Reuters, Washington Post, USA Today, Fox News, CNN. Tie your channel to those channels, and you also need to tie it to authority YouTube channels, popular general YouTube channels. You need backlinks on news-related websites and backlinks on high authority sites. And the goal here is that we want to siphon enough news rank, which remember is similar to page rank. And all we're doing is we're tying our YouTube channel to all these trusted sources, all these trusted news sources, so that whenever Google crawls them, it sees our channel too. And it passes the news rank, aka page rank, through to our YouTube channel. Because what's happening now is you don't just get to rank instantly. Now Google has a little bit more sophistication. You need a certain amount of news rank. It's hard to say exactly how much, but if you do this method, you'll have enough. I mean, obviously we don't control the Google algorithm, so I can't give you exact numbers. But if you follow the steps, you'll siphon enough news rank towards your own channel to where you can rank in the news box. And the way we do that is we comment on news channels on YouTube, like the Reuters YouTube news channel. We comment on news websites, similar to the old method, except instead of just doing it one time, we do it a lot of different times over a period of about 30 days. And what that'll do over time, it builds our news rank, and we're able to rank our videos whenever we please. And that's how the method works, and that's what I'm going to walk you through in this course. Now, it takes about 30 days, sometimes 40 days. It depends how fast you do it, how often you do it. But a general rule is 30 days. I have not seen it done on a new YouTube channel in less than 23 days. That was as fast as we were able to get it working when we tested it. So you'll want about 30 days. You want to give it at least 30 days. You might need to do more, you might need to do less, but 30 days is a general rule. Now, before we begin the process, if you have an older account, use it. You can use 100% brand new YouTube accounts and Google accounts, but if you have an account with some age, with some history, that's been used on YouTube, I'd advise you to use that because it's a lot easier. And it's not required, but it's a little bit faster. You'll also want to enable SMS password recovery. I've had cases where people obviously tried to brute force the password, because you get a notification from Google if too many people try to log into your account with failed attempts. They email you about it, and then the next time you try to log in, they'll send the code to your phone. So what's happening is people are trying to brute force their way, or maybe hack their way into those accounts. You can imagine how valuable it is if you can rank a video in the news box. You can see why a lot of people would want that. So you should enable SMS password recovery on your cell phone. And I would not suggest third-party accounts. It's always better to use your own accounts that you control 100% and that nobody else has access to. And it's creating a Google account. How hard is it? So there's really no need for it. And if you're going to use multiple accounts, I will just say this: VPS servers are better than proxies. simply because you do not have to worry about proxy management. When you have multiple accounts and multiple proxies, even if you have them you know, in a spreadsheet, it's very easy to mix them up, and you don't want to do that one bit. I mean, VPS servers are super cheap these days. If you use a company like Green Cloud VPS, you can get one for, I think they charge about $8 a month for a Windows server. And all you're going to be doing is, you know, commenting and uploading videos and stuff like that. So it's not like you're going to be running, you know, something like GSA or anything. So I would advise you to use a super cheap Windows VPS over a proxy server. And you know, most proxy servers, they're in bad IP ranges. They've been abused, and Google just doesn't trust those ranges. So if you're going to do this with multiple accounts, I would suggest that you use a cheap Windows VPS server. They're not expensive, so I mean, it's worth it to me. I mean, Green Cloud VPS I think charges like $8, but you can find a lot of them that'll charge anywhere between $10 to $15 for a Windows VPS. And you know, if you want a good proxy, a good private 100% clean proxy that has not been abused by anybody else, you're going to pay about $5 for each IP address. So you might as well pay a little bit more, so you don't have to worry about things like cookies and deleting your cache and Flash cookies and JavaScript cookies and WebRTC, which is another way that browsers reveal your IP address. And you don't have to worry about any of that when you have a VPS server, because each and every account is separate, and it's, you know, no matter what type of cookie or tracking technology they use, they'll never tie it back to your original IP address because it's on a VPS server. So I think it's worth spending a couple of extra bucks in order to do that. And of course, you don't want to tie it to the same phone number. Google often makes you, you know, especially since you're going to enable SMS password recovery, enter a phone number. I would suggest that you use a service like, what's it called, Twilio or Grasshopper.com. The phone numbers are super cheap. I think they're maybe, you know, $1, $2 each, and you can get as many phone numbers as you want and just have it forward the SMS message to you. And you want to make sure that you never lose that phone number. So you know, make sure your monthly balance is always paid on time, so that they don't take your number away. Because once they take it away, it's very hard to get it back, because they usually assign it to somebody else. So make sure that that part is covered, and never let one account be linked with the other. Just because you're using this account for YouTube doesn't mean you can use it for Gmail, because they're the same Google service and the same Google sign-on. You don't want to mix and match your accounts, use the same IP address for Gmail on one account and then use a different account for YouTube, because Google is smart enough to tie those accounts together. And if you ever done what I do, I usually, you know, I have multiple Google accounts, you know, personal accounts and business accounts. And if you log in through one browser without a proxy or anything, and then you log in through another browser, they're different sets of cookies, different tracking information, but you'll notice that Google gives you the option of which account you want to sign into. And a lot of times they link accounts on their own just because they're used on the same computer. So you never want to link these accounts together. Always keep everything separate. And that's again why I recommend VPS servers. You won't have to worry about any of that. You know that, you know, VPS server number 1 is for Google account number 1, VPS server number 2 is for Google account number 2, and so on and so forth. So it becomes a lot easier to manage multiple accounts that way than it is with a proxy. So that's it for the intro. Go ahead and watch the video below, and we'll continue on.